They say when you step onto a plane, you leave the world behind. No streets. No status. No boundaries. Just strangers. Trusting the same sky. But on one quiet morning, some people carried their world with them. Their assumptions. Their prejudice. Their invisible lines of who belongs and who doesn't. And in seat 2B sat a 12-year-old girl who would be told, in the cruelest way possible, that she didn't belong in that sky. What no one knew was that before that plane would even take off, she would be the only reason someone on board would live to see the ground again. Headphone character introduction, next 30 seconds. Her name was Maya Washington. 12 years old. Small enough to disappear in a crowd. Yet carrying a mind far bigger than most adults around her. She wore a gray hoodie, 3 sizes too big. The sleeves covering her hands like armor. It wasn't just any hoodie. It was her father's. The only thing that still smelled like him. Inside her backpack wasn't toys, snacks, or childish things. Instead, 3 published medical research papers. A carefully folded invitation from Boston Children's Hospital. And a silver stethoscope. Engraved with the words. At exactly 6:15 a.m. Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport buzzed with life. Rolling suitcases clicked across polished floors. Announcements echoed overhead. Coffee cups steamed in restless hands. And in the middle of it all stood Maya. Alone. Clutching her purple backpack tightly against her chest. Not because she was scared of the flight. But because this trip meant everything. This wasn't just a journey. It was a promise. A promise she made 3 years ago. In a hospital room filled with machines, silence. And goodbye. Her father had been lying there. Weak. But smiling. Always smiling. You're going to do amazing things, baby girl, he had whispered. Not because the world will make it easy for you. But because you won't let it stop you. Maya blinked. Back to the present. Back to gate 23. United Flight 447 to Boston is now boarding. Her heart skipped. This was it. She stepped forward. One small step. Into a world that didn't expect her. The line moved slowly. Business travelers. Families. People dressed in quiet confidence. Maya stood among them. In her oversized hoodie and worn sneakers. Invisible. Until she wasn't. The gate agent took her boarding pass. Scanned it. Paused. Looked at the screen. Then at Maya. Then back at the screen again. Her eyebrows lifted. First class. There was a pause. Not long. But long enough. Honey, are you sure this is yours? The words were soft. But the meaning underneath them was louder than anything else in the airport. Maya nodded gently. Yes, ma'am. Are you traveling with an adult? No, ma'am. I have my paperwork. She handed over a neatly organized folder. Every document in place. Every detail correct. Because Maya knew something most kids her age didn't. The world doesn't forgive mistakes from people like her. Heal with love, Dad. The agent flipped through the papers. Slowly. Carefully. Suspiciously. Her expression didn't change. But her eyes said everything. This doesn't seem right. Finally, she handed everything back. Go ahead. No smile. No apology. Just permission. And sometimes. That's all the world gives you. Headphone first class. Maya stepped onto the plane. And everything felt different. The air was quieter. Warmer. Softer. First class wasn't just a section of seats. It was a statement. Wide leather chairs. Soft lighting. Fresh coffee already waiting. Only 8 seats in total. 8. And every single one of them felt like it came with expectations. Maya found her seat. 2B. By the window. She placed her backpack carefully under the seat. Sat down. And tried to make herself small. Not because she was afraid. But because she was used to it. She pulled out her tablet. Opened a medical journal. Advances in detecting adrenal crisis in infants under 1 year. Her eyes focused. Her breathing steadied. Because this was where she belonged. Not in the eyes of the passengers around her. But in the work. In the purpose. In the promise. A man in row 1 glanced back at her. Quickly looked away. An elderly woman in row 3 tightened her grip on her purse. Maya noticed. Of course she did. She always noticed. But she pretended not to. Because sometimes ignoring pain is easier than carrying it. For a moment. Everything was quiet. And then everything changed. Headphone the arrival of power. 10 minutes later. The calm shattered. Heels clicked sharply against the floor. Fast. Impatient. Commanding attention. A woman entered first class like she owned it. Because in many ways. She did. Senator Rebecca Hartwell. Designer suit. Perfect makeup. Authority in every step. In one arm. An 11-month-old baby boy. Crying loudly. Uncontrollably. In the other. A phone pressed tightly to her ear. Yes, Martin, I know about the gala tonight, she snapped. 50,000 donation, photos with sick children, great publicity. The baby cried louder. Andrew, stop. She bounced him slightly. Not gently. Not lovingly. Mechanically. I fired the nanny. She was too expensive. The baby's cries turned sharper. More desperate. Rebecca sighed in frustration. And then she reached row 2. Her seat. 2A. Right next to Maya. She stopped. Looked. And everything about her expression changed. Her face tightened. Eyes narrowed. Lips curled. Disgust. Pure. Unfiltered. Excuse me. Her voice cut through the air. Maya looked up. I think there's been a mistake. Maya blinked softly. No, ma'am. I'm in 2B. Rebecca stared. Longer this time. Harder. You're in first class. Yes, ma'am. A pause. Then a sharp laugh. Where are your parents? My father passed away, Maya said quietly. My mother is working. Rebecca tilted her head. Studying her. Judging her. Dismissing her. So you're alone, in first class. The disbelief in her voice wasn't hidden. It was sharpened. Weaponized. How convenient. Maya swallowed. Johns Hopkins Hospital purchased my ticket. I'm presenting at a medical conference. And that's when Rebecca laughed. Loudly. Cruelly. A medical conference? She turned her head slightly, as if inviting the entire cabin to join the joke. Oh, that's a good one. Her eyes snapped back to Maya. Cold. Cutting. How creative. And in that moment, the air changed. Because this wasn't confusion anymore. This was something deeper. Something uglier. Something that had nothing to do with a seat. And everything to do with who Maya was. Rebecca raised her hand. Flight attendant. Her voice echoed. Sharp. Demanding. And just like that, the quiet morning flight became something else entirely. Something no one on board would ever forget, the moment Rebecca Hartwell called for the flight attendant. The entire atmosphere inside first class shifted. What had been quiet judgment turned into something louder. Sharper. More public. Jessica, the flight attendant, appeared quickly. Young. Professional. Slightly nervous. Yes, Senator Hartwell? Rebecca didn't lower her voice. Didn't soften her tone. Didn't even glance at Maya before speaking. There's been a mistake, she said flatly. This child is sitting in first class. Alone. Jessica hesitated. Her eyes flicked toward Maya, apologetic. Then back to Rebecca. Ma'am, if I could just check. I am Senator Rebecca Hartwell, Rebecca interrupted sharply. Her voice carried authority. The kind that didn't ask. The kind that expected obedience. I sit on the transportation committee, she continued. I know airline regulations. She leaned slightly closer. Lowered her voice just enough to feel more dangerous. Unaccompanied minors do not fly first class. A pause. Then. Especially not. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Because everyone in that cabin heard it anyway. Maya's fingers tightened around her tablet. Her father's voice echoed softly in her memory. Stay calm. Stay dignified. Never let them see you shrink. Jessica reached for Maya's boarding pass. Scanned it once. Then again. Her brows furrowed. Then relaxed. Senator, she said carefully. This ticket is confirmed. First class. Paid in full. Silence. Rebecca blinked. Once. That's impossible. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Look at her. The words landed like stones. Does she look like she belongs here? The question hung in the air. Ugly. Heavy. Unanswered. And yet. No one challenged it. In row 1, the businessman leaned slightly forward. His voice calm. Agreeable. I have to say. I understand your concern, Senator. Rebecca's lips curved. Finally, agreement. Validation. Exactly, she said. Standards exist for a reason. Behind them, the elderly woman in row 3 nodded slowly. Clutching her purse tighter. My granddaughter is 12, she murmured. She would never be allowed to travel alone like this. Rebecca gave a small, satisfied smile. It's not safe, she added. Then paused. As if choosing her next words carefully. Who knows what kind of background? She didn't finish again. But again. She didn't need to. Maya's throat tightened. But she didn't speak. Didn't argue. Didn't defend herself. Because deep down, she already knew something painful. People who decide who you are rarely listen when you tell them otherwise. Jessica shifted uncomfortably. Ma'am, everything is in order. I'm not racist, Rebecca snapped suddenly. Her voice louder now. Sharper. More defensive. I'm practical. The words echoed. And this time, they didn't just land on Maya. They settled over the entire cabin. Uncomfortable. Unavoidable. Jessica swallowed. Can I offer you a drink, Senator? Rebecca exhaled sharply. Yes. Vodka tonic. Then, under her breath, I cannot deal with this sober. Maya turned back to the window. Her reflection stared back at her. Small. Quiet. Trying to disappear. But her eyes told a different story. They burned. Not with anger. But with something heavier. Hurt. Still, she didn't cry. Instead, she opened her tablet again. Returned to her article. Focused. Steady. Because if she let their words define her, she would lose everything her father had taught her. Behind her, in row 4. A man lifted his phone. Marcus Thompson. Journalist. Observer. Witness. He had seen moments like this before. Moments where truth and injustice collided. And something in his gut told him. This moment mattered. So he pressed record. Meanwhile, in Rebecca's arms, baby Andrew continued crying. But something had changed. The sound was different now. Less forceful. More strained. Like something inside him was running out. Rebecca didn't notice. She was too busy talking. Too busy proving a point. Too busy being right. Johns Hopkins, was it? She said suddenly, turning back to Maya. Her tone was mocking. Playful. Cruel. Tell me, sweetheart, what exactly do you do there? Maya looked up slowly. Her voice quiet. Controlled. I'm a junior medical researcher. A pause. I study rare diseases in infants. Rebecca blinked. Then laughed. Louder this time. Oh, this is priceless. She turned slightly toward the others. As if sharing a joke. A researcher. At 12. The businessman chuckled. Impressive, he said dryly. Rebecca leaned closer. Eyes sharp. And let me guess, she continued. You're some kind of prodigy? Maya didn't react. I've published 3 papers, she said softly. On infant adrenal insufficiency. With my father. That made Rebecca pause. Just for a second. Then her expression hardened. Your father, she repeated. The doctor? Maya nodded once. He passed away 3 years ago. There was a flicker of something in Rebecca's eyes. But it vanished just as quickly. How convenient, she said coldly. Maya's chest tightened. Pancreatic cancer, she added quietly. Stage 4. For a brief moment. Silence. But Rebecca didn't soften. Oh, sweetie, she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. I'm sure that's a very sad story. Then. Her tone snapped back. But making up credentials to get free perks? Her eyes narrowed. That's fraud. Maya's fingers curled into her sleeve. I'm not lying. Rebecca tilted her head. Smiling. But not kindly. Then prove it. The words hit like a challenge. Show me your papers. Maya hesitated. She could. They were in her bag. Printed. Verified. Real. But something inside her told her. It wouldn't matter. Because this wasn't about truth. This was about belief. And Rebecca had already decided. I don't need to prove anything to you, Maya said quietly. Rebecca laughed again. Did you hear that? She said, glancing at the others. She doesn't need to prove anything. Her smile turned sharp. That's what people say when they're caught. Jessica returned with the drink. Placed it carefully on the tray. Rebecca took a long sip. Relaxed slightly. Then leaned back. You know what I think, she said slowly. I think some charity bought you that ticket. Her eyes locked onto Maya. One of those feel-good programs. She took another sip. Make a wish for kids who want to pretend they're special. The words cut deeper now. More deliberate. And somehow, she continued. You got upgraded. A pause. And now you're sitting here. Her gaze moved over Maya's tablet. Reading words you probably don't even understand. The cabin was silent. No one interrupted. No one defended her. Maya's vision blurred slightly. But she blinked it away. I'm not pretending, she whispered. Rebecca smirked. Sure you're not. She leaned forward. Voice lower now. More dangerous. Let me tell you something about the real world. A pause. People like you. Another pause. Don't get to be researchers. Silence. They don't get to sit in first class. Her voice hardened. They don't get to skip the line just because they have a sad story. Maya's chest tightened. There's an order to things, Rebecca finished. Her eyes locked onto Maya's. And you. A beat. Are out of order. The words echoed. Loud. Heavy. Unforgettable. And then. Everything changed. Andrew's crying stopped. Completely. Mid-breath. Rebecca didn't notice at first. She was still caught in her own words. But Maya did. Her head snapped up. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Ma'am. Her voice cut through the silence. Different now. Urgent. Your baby. Rebecca waved her off. Don't you dare. Ma'am, he's not breathing right. That made her look down. And in that moment, the world shifted. Andrew? No response. His body was still. Too still. His lips. No longer red. But pale. His tiny hand slipped open. And that's when Maya saw it. A silver bracelet. 3 letters. CAH. Maya's heart stopped. Because she knew exactly what that meant. And suddenly. Nothing else mattered. Not the insults. Not the humiliation. Not the judgment. Only one thing remained, time didn't slow down. It shattered. 1 second, there was judgment. The next. There was fear. Rebecca Hartwell's hands trembled as she stared at her son. Andrew. Andrew, baby. Her voice cracked. But he didn't respond. His tiny chest moved, too fast, too shallow. His lips, now clearly blue. And for the first time since she stepped onto that plane, Rebecca wasn't in control. Somebody help him, she screamed. Her voice, once sharp with authority, now broke with desperation. Passengers turned. Gasps filled the cabin. Flight attendants rushed forward. But no one moved fast enough. No one knew what to do. Except one person. Maya. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Her fingers went cold. But her mind became crystal clear. She stood. I can help him. Every eye turned toward her. Rebecca looked up. And for a split second, something ugly flickered across her face again. Fear mixed with disbelief. No, she snapped instinctively. Don't touch him. Even now. Even here. We need a real doctor. Maya froze. Just for a second. Not because she didn't know what to do. But because those words. A real doctor. Hit deeper than anything else. But then she looked at Andrew again. And everything else faded. Because this wasn't about pride anymore. This was about a life. "Ma'am," Maya said firmly. "He has CAH. He's in adrenal crisis." The words cut through the chaos. Rebecca blinked. What does that mean?" Maya didn't hesitate. "His body can't produce cortisol. Without it, he goes into shock." Her voice was steady now. Confident. Certain. "If we don't treat him immediately." She swallowed. "He could die." Silence. Pure. Absolute. Rebecca stared at her. Really stared this time. Not at her clothes. Not at her skin. But at her. And suddenly, all the certainty in her world collapsed. "Help him," she whispered. Then louder. Desperate. Broken. "Please, help my baby." And just like that, everything changed. Maya stepped forward. Her hands trembled as she took Andrew gently into her arms. He was so small. So fragile. Too still. "Jessica, I need the emergency medical kit," Maya said. The flight attendant hesitated. Her eyes darted between Maya and the others. "You can't seriously," the businessman started. "By the time we argue," Maya snapped, her voice suddenly commanding. "He will be dead." The words hit hard. Jessica ran. Maya laid Andrew carefully across the seat. Her fingers moved quickly. Checking. Assessing. Pulse, weak. Skin, cold. Severe dehydration. Her voice was no longer that of a child. It was clinical. Precise. Like her father's. "Addisonian crisis," she whispered to herself. Rebecca's hands shook violently. "What do we do? Tell me what to do." Maya didn't look up. "I need you to stay calm." Jessica returned with the red medical kit. Maya opened it. Quickly. Carefully. Her eyes scanned the contents. Gauze. Syringes. Medication. And then, she saw it. Hydrocortisone. Her breath caught. Okay. She grabbed the vial. Her hands trembling again. Because this was the moment. The difference between life and death. "I can't," she whispered. For the first time, fear broke through. "I'm not licensed. I've never." Rebecca grabbed her arm. Her voice was raw. Stripped of all pride. "You're the only one who knows what's wrong." Tears streamed down her face. "Please. I'm begging you." Maya looked at her. Really looked. And in that moment, she didn't see the woman who insulted her. She saw a mother. Terrified. Broken. Human. And that was enough. Maya closed her eyes briefly. Her father's voice echoed in her heart. "When it matters most, you don't act out of fear. You act out of love." Her hands steadied. She drew the medication into the syringe. Measured carefully. 25 milligrams, she whispered. She found the injection site. Cleaned it. Prepared. The entire cabin held its breath. "Stay with me, Andrew," she murmured softly. Then, she injected. Slow. Steady. Precise. Seconds passed. Nothing. Rebecca sobbed. "Why isn't he waking up?" "Give it time," Maya said quietly. But inside, her heart was racing. What if I was wrong? What if I made it worse? The plane stopped. The doors opened. Paramedics rushed in. "Where's the patient?" "Here." Jessica shouted. They moved quickly. Professionally. One of them stopped when he saw Maya holding the syringe. Who administered the injection? I did, Maya said. The paramedic blinked. You're a kid. I'm a researcher, she replied. Her voice didn't shake. 25 milligrams hydrocortisone IM. 90 seconds ago. A pause. Then. A nod. Good call. They moved fast. 4-line. Fluids. Glucose. Blood pressure. 60/40. Glucose. 42. Severely low. The paramedic looked at Maya again. You bought him time. 3 simple words. But they meant everything. Then. It happened. Andrew's chest rose. Deeper this time. His lips, slowly turning pink again. A breath. Then another. Rebecca collapsed into her seat. Crying. Shaking. He's breathing. Maya stepped back. Her legs suddenly weak. The adrenaline fading. The weight of what just happened. Crashing down all at once. The paramedics lifted Andrew onto a stretcher. Rebecca followed. Then stopped. She turned. Looked at Maya. For a long moment. She said nothing. Then. In the quietest voice imaginable. Thank you. No pride. No arrogance. Just truth. And then. She was gone. Headphone aftermath. The cabin was silent. No one spoke. Because what had just happened couldn't be undone. The same people who judged her now couldn't meet her eyes. The businessman cleared his throat. I owe you an apology. The elderly woman wiped her tears. We were wrong, sweetheart, so wrong. Maya didn't respond. She just sat down. Staring at her hands. Still shaking. Jessica knelt beside her. You were incredible, she whispered. Maya shook her head softly. I was scared. Jessica smiled gently. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. A pause. It means you act anyway. Behind them. Marcus stepped forward. I recorded everything, he said quietly. Maya looked up. I want to share your story. She hesitated. I don't want attention. Marcus nodded. I understand. Then he added softly. But what happened here could change how people see things. Maya looked down. Thought for a moment. Will it help other kids? Yes. She nodded once. Then tell it. Headphone final emotional closing. An hour later. The plane prepared for takeoff again. But something had changed. The air felt different. Lighter. Kinder. Because now. They all knew something they didn't before. That greatness doesn't come from status. That brilliance doesn't wear a label. That courage can come in the smallest form. Maya looked out the window. Clouds stretching endlessly before her. For the first time that day. She smiled. Because somewhere. She knew. Her father would be proud. Never judge someone by how they look, where they come from, or how small they seem. Because the person you underestimate today may be the one who saves you tomorrow.